Top of the morning to everybody. Okay, today I'm going to run through a few filters. I think I'll just do maybe 4. But I just kind of want to show you, these will just be video filters, but let me show you the original footage that we will mess with so we can see kind of what will happen as we mess with the filters. You can see that's a storm in the desert. Not the real desert storm, but this is what a storm looks like in the Las Vegas desert. It's kind of cool. All right, let's start with this 15 frames per second. Now, this is a filter that I have created. What it does is I have a strobe rate set at 15. And it's supposed to make it look like the frame rate is down to 15 frames a second. Actually, let's render that real quick because it does kind of... This is not a ProRes file, so it does need to be rendered here. Yeah, before we continue, maybe I should transcode. Never mind. Okay, so what I've done is I've applied this filter. Now what this is it's a modification of another filter called strobe. And what I did was I set it at 15 frames per second, kept the mix at 100%. And you can change this frame rate, but it says strobe rate 15. It's supposed to emulate 15 frames per second. So you can see the kind of jerky motion. It actually is doing about 10. If I take this strobe rate up a little higher, it will look a little more like a strobed motion rather than this kind of jerky 10 frames per second motion. All right, so let's get rid of this filter and let's move on to the next one. 50s TV. Well, you can definitely see the difference that makes. Now, if we go in here, we have a couple of different things we can mess with. The amount. And it's kind of the amount of desaturation, and looks like it's got kind of a glow filter on it or something. Wow, it looks like a nuclear bomb went off. But it's got that kind of fine edges look to it. And you also have brightness. Pretty simple. All right, add noise. And what this does, this is useful. This is going to be kind of hard to see here. This is useful if you have a clip that is not very good quality and you want to match it with one that is really good quality. But you always need to go down. You can't really go up because you don't have the information. So here's what we're going to do. We've got monochrome noise. Or you can turn the monochrome noise on and off. Well, let's add a whole bunch of noise first. You see what it's doing to the screen? Now, if we turn the monochrome on, it will turn that noise into black and white, basically, instead of color. So you can see this looks like a TV that's kind of losing signal. A staticky television. Okay, we can change the blend mode to do all different kinds of things, because basically what the add noise filter does is it adds noise over on top of the image. And you can see what each of the different blend modes does. It looks pretty cool. Some of them look really cool, some of them look terrible. And keep in mind that if you do something like this, you can always bring the the noise level down a bit. I'm just kind of pointing them out. This looks like something from The Ring. Okay, and then opacity is basically, even though it's not the same as amount, because if you notice amount, it's kind of difficult to see because as you bring the amount down, you don't see it as much. But amount kind of, it's how many of these pixels are messed up, are noisy. Let's do a multiply. No. We might be able to see it better with linear burn. Okay. They kind of get more noisy pixels. There's more distortion and color distortion between the pixels. But opacity, it's kind of the same thing, but it's how transparent that layer is. Okay. Let's go ahead and remove that filter. And let's try the aged film. Aged film is one that can be overused, but it's one that looks really neat. Usually it kind of gives you a sepia type tone. And it's supposed to look like old film from Charlie Chaplin days or something like that. Okay, there's a whole bunch of different things that are involved in this. The amount, you can bring the amount down so it doesn't look so aged. So you just kind of lose a little bit of the color information and you get some real thin dust and scratches. You have two different kinds of grain. You have iMovie grain and realistic grain. The iMovie, I think, is a little overdone. Let's take a look at it. See how the lines kind of move through, and there's a ton of them all the time. Let's switch it to realistic grain. A little more natural. Color adjust. This is the temperature. This is pretty neat. So if I turn the amount down, you can see that. But what happens is this is like a colder temperature and this is a warmer temperature. If you know about light temperatures, this would be like a 60, 68K and this would be at 32K. So you can see kind of what that does in real time. Even if we play it, I can mess with it. Okay. Let's keep it on this so we can see it a little more. Let's keep that amount up too. Grain. Well, that's all the stuff that's in it. If I have the grain low and I turn it up, you should start seeing a little bit of noise in these areas here where it's white. Scratches. Well, let's bring that up. Look how many scratches I have. Now let's bring it down. I don't have any. Okay. Dust. You'll see little spots flick in and out with it up. Let's turn the scratches off so they don't distract us. Not really seeing any dust. Hairs is kind of the same thing. They're just bigger particles. Jitter. Watch what this does. See how it makes a bounce? Jitter variance will not affect anything unless you have a jitter. Well, it will a little bit. It's okay. If we do jitter amount, it's a constant boom, 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 boom. The jitter variance makes the jitter a little more random. The higher variance we have, the more randomness there is in the jitter amount. Focus variance. See how it kind of goes out of focus? Brightness variance. This will be fun to play with too. See how it kind of flickers like a strobe, sort of? This simulates when they used to have to develop the film one frame by frame. And if they didn't put it in the water enough or whatever, it changed the brightness of it. Okay, random seed. This is important. Watch this. Let's turn scratches all the way up, and you can see all of that. Now, you're going to see that the next time it plays, it's exactly the same. See how those three entered from here? Let's start it over. These three enter from here. Let's change the seed to whatever. And watch what happens. Those three will not enter from the same place. It enters a little differently. Let's take it down to 0. I guess they do. Your random seed is supposed to randomize things and kind of give a random number for all the dust and scratches and grain and hairs and your jitters, your jitter variance. You use the seed between clips that have the same filter. And what it does is it causes it so that not all of them have the exact same motion and the exact same style of movement. If I were to put this clip followed by another clip in here, everything would enter the same way and it would look exactly the same, like I used the exact same filter. By changing the random seed, it looks like it's just a continuation or it's been cut and it's the same film. Okay, so that's just a quick overview of these 4 filters. This 15 frames per second one that I created, the 50s TV, the add noise, and the aged film filters. Next, I'll probably go over these 4, and I'll do some filters randomly here and there just to kind of give you an overview and a good example of what they can do, so that if you have any questions and say, hey, what does this do? You can look them up. All right. I'd like to thank you for watching, and also if you have any questions, if there's something specific you'd like me to go over, just let me know. Send me a comment or send me a personal message, whatever, and let me know what you'd like me to do or what you'd like me to try. All right. Thank you very much for watching.